Right, let's get out this car park before I start. Let's look at that delightfulness. Can you see that on the GoPro? Scum. Welcome to the channel, or back to the channel if you're a returning viewer. I'm eternally grateful and all that. In today's video, I'm going to talk about a boring old subject of finance, in particular PCP. Why PCP? Because I've got some personal dealings with PCP, and I've seen a few videos on finance, and most people are not really slagging off PCP, but most people are saying it's a dumb way of buying a bike and so forth. So I thought I'd add my 2 pennies worth to it for what it's worth. So this is not financial advice, obviously. I mean, do I look like someone that's capable of giving financial advice? Hello. There's a few ways of buying motorcycles and so forth. The first and most obvious way really is probably to pay cash. That will suit some people. If you want to buy a new one, it probably won't suit 90% of the people. But if you want to buy an older one, say an old £3,000 bike, then that's probably the best way to do it. Just save up your pennies and buy it. The second way is to borrow some money from the bank. The good old bank. Borrow some money from the bank. That's another good option. When looking at finance deals from motorcycle manufacturers and dealerships, always check out their APR and then go and compare it online. You can do the online meerkat thing to see who's given the best APR on bank loans and so forth. So that might be a good option to save a few pennies on the interest rates. All the other village only, no, don't go village only, go this way. Or you can opt to use the dealership finance. Now, I would say that unless you're really smitten on a certain brand and model, if you've got 2 or 3 bikes that you're like lusting over, I would say it's best to go and view and do some research on those 2 or 3 machines and compare not just all your stats and how much the bike costs, but as in the retail value of the bike, but actually look at the deals that they're doing. Some manufacturers, I know some manufacturers are doing like 0% finance, so obviously that is a good deal if you do 0% finance. Some other ones might offer maybe 2 or 3 services for free thrown in with the package. So if you equate that into the equation, the overall equation, then you know a service might cost you 250 quid. If there's 3 of them thrown in, that's 750 quid that you're not having to fork out extra on top. Well, you got HP, hire purchase, whereas you go and look at the bike. For argument, this bike when I bought it was 17,000 quid 5 years ago. HP basically means you put a deposit down of whatever you want to put down basically, and then they work out the monthly payments. So at the end of the term, 3 or 4 years, or either side of 4 years to be honest, at the end of the term the bike is yours. The bike is not yours until you've actually paid that last payment. It belongs to the finance company. This next one is good old PCP, probably the most popular way of buying a bike. Why is this the most popular way of buying a bike, and what I actually done to purchase this particular machine is, in a nutshell, as I've already outlined, this bike cost me £17,000. Now at the time when I was lusting after buying one of these, I was probably about 16,000 short of this £17,000 asking price for this machine. So I'm thinking to myself, I kind of want it. I want it like last week really. Don't want to wait. There's no way in a million years that I would ever be able to save £17,000 and just walk into the dealership and go, there you go, raid in my piggy bank, there's 70 grand, give me the keys, see you later. That ain't ever going to happen. Hence, that is not ever going to happen, sir. So I looked at the PCP. Now, to be honest, dealers will steer you towards the PCP. They won't even go through the different finance options. They will say, this is how much it's going to cost you a month, sir. And then you think to yourself, right, that's not a lot for a 17 grand bike. So that's basically how they get you. So be aware of what I'm about to tell you. When you have a bike or a car or whatever on PCP, you put down a deposit of your choice, Obviously the more deposit you put down, the lower your monthly payments are going to be, and then they come up with a monthly figure on how much you have to pay every month. Now for this particular machine, I put, like I say, 17 grand bike, I'll put £1,000 deposit down. I've actually paid for the whole thing. I'll get to that in a second. I think the monthly payments, it's been a year and a bit since I paid it off, so I can't remember what I'd done yesterday, let alone a year and a bit ago. I think it was £213 a month. Now I was okay with £200. I didn't want to spend more than 200 quid on a bike. I'm thinking it's getting a bit bloody much, this is. But 200 quid, yeah, I can just about afford that. Anything more than that, like the HP would have been near on 400 quid a month. A bank loan, unless we have it over about for 8 years, that would have been like 350, 400 pound a month. So those to me were out of the question. So the PCP was 213 pound a month. I had it over 4 years. I did look at the 3-year option, and I think that was like whatever it was, 260, 270 I would say, for argument's sake, whereas it was 213 over 4. So I did stretch it simply because of the, I didn't want to spend more than 200 quid a month. Alright, 213, but yeah, whatever. Now in effect, the reason why the monthly payment is so low on a PCP is because you're only basically financing half of it. So as I say, bike was 17 grand, £1,000 down, that leaves 16 grand to pay. There is a final balloon payment, what they call a balloon payment, at the end of the term. So after my 4 years, I owed 8.5 grand on this bike. So therefore I'm only financing basically half of that. That's why the monthly payments are so low. So be aware that at the end of the term, your 3 or 4 year term, you're going to have to fork out a lump sum which is approximately half of what the value of the bike is, approximately. I mean, I'll go through all that with you in the dealership if you was to go down that route, but just be aware that there is a massive whopper at the end. With me, because I had it over 4 years, I'm kind of thinking this bike's a keeper, and as I've already outlined, this is the only way I'm going to afford to buy it on a monthly basis. So I'm basically deferring half of the value of this bike, half of the value that they wanted at the time, to the very end. So in my tiny brain, I thought to myself, okay, I can afford £200 a month, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to try with like extra money from work and blah 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 blah, bonuses. Do I pay myself a bonus? No, I don't really. Anyway, what I was going to do is I was going to save up 8.5 grand. So at the end of the 4 years, hopefully I'm going to have 8.5 grand, and I'm going to pay it off and keep the bike. Okay, that's not the greatest strategy in the world. You're obviously paying more interest, and it's also, are you going to have 8.5 grand at the end of the term? Fortunately, I did have 8.5 grand. I had 9 grand actually, so I'm 500 over my target. Yeah, I just got in there. Yes. So that's kind of what I've done. There is options to change the bike. So that's what the dealers want you to do. They want you to take out a PCP because they earn money on lending you the money through the finance company, and they want to kind of lock you in. So after 2 years of my 4-year period, I had a call or an email or whatever it was from BMW saying, would you like to come in and discuss swapping your GS for a brand new one? We've got some great deals on at the moment, type of email. And I thought, not really, but I'm kind of curious to what they say. So I went in and they said, right, okay, this is the deal. You can hand your keys back for this bike and we'll give you this brand spanking new one, and it'll only cost you another, whatever it was, 50 quid a month or whatever it was, can't remember exactly, but it was obviously more. But don't forget that it's only 50 quid a month extra than what you're paying, but you get a brand new bike. So that suits a lot of people. But my original target of £200 a month, it would now increase to £250 a month, and then next 2 years it's going to be £300 odd a month, and before you know it, you're spending all your money on a frigging bike, which is essentially a toy. So I decided not to go down that route. Like I say, it may or may not suit you. Also, the way they work out how much your balloon payment is at the end is based on the future value of your machine. So if your machine is in reasonable condition after the term, i.e. after 4 years time, if this bike was in reasonable condition for a 4-year-old bike, and I haven't exceeded the agreed mileage. I think my agreed mileage on this was for 6,000 a year. So basically when I bought the bike, it's like, okay, you can do up to 6,000 miles a year, and at the end of the term your bike's worth 8.5 grand. Now in reality the bike's worth more than 8.5 grand. I'll probably say it was, I don't know, 10, 11 say. I didn't do a lot of research on that, I'm just guessing, but it's definitely worth more than 8.5 grand. The other option you've got at the end of the PCP is you can simply give them the keys and walk away with nothing, and then that's it, it's all paid up and whatever. So you are essentially renting that bike for the period of the PCP contract, but you're left with nothing at the end, so that's not great unless you are, there might be circumstances where you need to do that, you may have lost your job or whatever, so that is a handy get out clause as a last resort if something like that happens to happen. I mean, we never know, do we? They always say most people are one paycheck away from being homeless, or bikeless in this instance. I wasn't too concerned about the mileage because I kind of knew after about 3 years that this bike was going to be a keeper. So therefore the 6,000 miles, I mean I haven't done more than, it's not even done 18,000 in 5 years, so it didn't really affect me. So I could do 24,000 miles in 4 years to not be outside the contracted terms. But I wasn't even really looking at mileage because, like I say, after 3 years I kind of decided that I was going to keep the bike. So therefore whatever mileage is irrelevant if you're just going to buy it at the end. So in a nutshell, do your research. PCP suit a lot of people, me included. So on reflection of my PCP experience, do I regret it? Like some of these videos I see on Facebook, some of these videos I see on YouTube. Don't buy a PCP, it's for mugs only. Now, okay, I might be a big prized mug sitting on this bike now, but however, on reflection, now I've had a year to mull it over in my head, I think I've made the right decision for me. Might not be for you, but for me I made the right decision. Why is that? Because as I've outlined, I wanted this bike, I wanted it now. There's no way I could afford a £17,000 bike. So a PCP, basically, in my tiny brain, says that I can have a bike that I can't afford to have. And that's kind of what happened. So I'm happy with it. Very, very happy indeed. Right, so on that note, I'm going to wobble around these country lanes and have a little I'm going to have a bimble about. It's Monday afternoon, and if you got to the end of this video, I do appreciate you watching and all that. If you get the tiniest bit of value out of my videos, please leave me a comment, and if you would kindly subscribe, that would mean a lot to an old knobber like myself. It's free, don't you know? So on that note, I'm going to leave you in peace, and thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Bye for now.